Time is 3:39 with me, Martin Daubney, here on GB News. Now, last month, a ship called the MC Ruby, it dumped around 300 tonnes of potentially explosive cargo into the North Sea, just off the coast of Great Yarmouth in Norfolk. And this was over fears that the ammonium nitrate fertiliser had been contaminated with fuel oil. Well, subsequently, the dumping caused outrage from environmentalists, local businesses and the local MP, Rupert Lowe, who says that he has spent weeks trying to uncover the true extent of what has happened and has labelled it as absolutely shocking. And I'm joined now by Rupert Lowe, the Reform UK MP for Great Yarmouth, to go over this. Rupert, always a pleasure. So, sounds like an astonishing story. Tell us more.
Well, Martin, good afternoon. Good to be on your show as usual. Yeah, this is an extraordinary situation, and I think it's an example of the parliamentary sovereignty being gradually eroded by a selection of unelected, unaccountable quangos who don't appear to be accountable to anybody. It's quite extraordinary that as the elected MP, i.e. the representative of the people of Great Yarmouth, who ultimately should be playing my part in a sovereign parliament, which should be omnipotent, I was actually excluded throughout the entire charade from the 28th of October right through the way through till the 28th of November, when the minister briefed me after the event, after all this, what I called eco-terrorism had taken place, and 300 tonnes or thereabouts of ammonium nitrate, better known to you or I as fertiliser, which I handle on a regular basis on my farm. Not only did they dump that in the sea 12 miles off my constituency, Great Yarmouth, they also dumped the plastic bags with it, which is quite extraordinary, because if I do my drilling and I fill my drill with ammonium nitrate or my fertilizer spinner, if I end up with a plastic bag which is recycled. Now, if I was to dump that bag in my river on my farm, I would quite rightly be prosecuted, and probably by the Environment Agency, and end up with a very large fine and probably a criminal record and all sorts of other things. So it's quite extraordinary, having done a huge amount of work on this, that the elected member was effectively excluded from all decision-making. And somebody's been lying to me. Either the local government's been lying to me or national government has been lying to me. I suspect it's national government from the briefing papers I've seen, but I'm raising it at an adjournment debate in Parliament at 5 o'clock this evening, where I'm going to set out what I believe has happened, where I believe the blame lies, and I'm going to request a parliamentary inquiry, Martin, because I think Parliament needs to start to assert itself as the ultimate if you like, guide to the way in which the country is run. And the more I dig into these things, the more I think the whole country has become dysfunctional, and we must change it if we're to rescue a modicum of common sense.
OK, Rupert, it's worth pointing out the government have denied that the sovereignty of Parliament is being undermined by quangos. They categorically denied that, and also they would counter the claims of eco-terrorism. But, Rupert, while I've got you here, can I please ask you about the Elon Musk, what's becoming now a bit of a hoo-ha about his potential donation to Reform UK, and more to the point, the Electoral Commission suddenly getting on their haunches about this. Isn't it funny, Rupert, how they seem to keep their heads down when foreign money is coming in from George Soros to fund the Remain campaign? Isn't it funny how they suddenly knocked on the door of the Brexit Party HQ when you were an MEP for them with myself back in May 2019? They're trying to change the rules, Rupert. Do you think they're just changing the rules because they're running scared? And more to the point, is the Electoral Commission being weaponised against reform?
Well, first of all, Martin, let me say that Elon Musk is a breath of fresh air as far as the American sort of situation goes. He's clearly a self-made man. He's got a very, very good brain. He's created some extremely successful businesses, and I think I'm delighted that somebody like him is indeed engaging to try and save us from what he describes as Britain going full-on trot. With regard to the establishment now bleating like stuck pigs about funding for reform, let me tell you, it's not just Elon Musk who's beginning to wake up to the fact that Reform are going to win the next general election, and in all probability, Nigel Farage will be Prime Minister. I think there are a lot of other people in the country who are now woken up to the fact that the current way in which we're governed is dysfunctional. We need disruption and we need complete change. And we need some people from outside the existing political establishment who are going to enforce and deliver that change. People with real life experience. And this is the real issue. The problem we've got is a lot of people in power now. None of them have real life experience. And a bit like the MV Ruby, I think you said the MC Ruby, it's the MV, the Motorversal Ruby. They ultimately, a lot of the local and national government officials were scared by a suggestion that this was a situation similar to Beirut. Now, if you've dealt with ammonium nitrate, as a farmer has, like I have, ammonium nitrate's driven around in 40-ton lorries across the country. It's distributed regularly. It's landed at ports regularly. It plays a big part in growing our food. So I think the penny is dropping. People want change now, and I think the British people are increasingly going to turn to reform. And when you hear the establishment running scared like they are, Martin, it's hardly surprising that they're now going to try and change the rules. They've used those rules to their advantage for a very long time, and as soon as they see a disruptor trying to do the same thing, and it must all be done legally, as we know, they're pretty sore. So I mean, I think it's a case of bad losers.